Disney CEO Bob Iger says he wanted to make their streaming platforms a key component of the company's future, but that's not going too well for them considering at the last earnings call it was reported that the company lost nearly $800 million on the streaming platform and it didn't reach the subscriber growth that they wanted to. Couple that with the fact that there's been calls for boycotts because they've been hiking the prices on it, which will be the second price hike within the last year alone. And in last May, it was announced that they're going to be removing a lot of content from it as part of a cost-cutting measure. One of the more noticeable examples of this, or one of the more noticeable victims of this content removal strategy, was the show Willow, which is a show that was produced and everyone just outright hated it. But one thing about Willow was the fact that it was still put on there as a complete series and people had a chance of watching it and no one liked it, which makes sense why they're going to get rid of it because it costs money to host it. But now we're getting some more interesting news from Deadline. So Disney Plus not going forward with Nautilus UK series as part of cost-cutting content removal. So jumping down into the article, the decision is part of Disney's streaming content removal plan unveiled in May, for which the company has taken an impairment charge of approximately $1.5 million to $1.8 billion. It followed the February announcement by Disney that it intends to cut $3 billion in non-sports content spend across the company. Okay, so that basically means they're taking basically a tax write-off of 1.5 to 1.8 billion, and they're looking to do 3 billion in total cost cutting. So they're going to still need to cut around 1.2 billion dollars in content at least, which is really saying something for them. And that's probably why they have a show like Nautilus, which is not only shot and produced and ready to go. They figure it's more profitable or better for the company as a whole just to take the write-off or to try to shop it around to another company as opposed to putting on their own streaming platform. And that's not only for that, but they have another show that's already shot and ready to go. So the Spiderwick Chronicles live action Disney Plus series is looking to get rid of that as well. And that's another show that they produce and it's ready to go, but they're going to pull the plug on it even after it's all said and done because it's more profitable for them as a write-off. And the reason this is kind of interesting about it is because they're not even giving the audience a chance to judge this on its own, which really goes to show with all the content that's been put out by the company. You would think, I mean, they've been putting out a lot of crap lately, and this is like apparently a step too far for them, which means if they are going to try to shop it around, I'm sure any other studio is probably not going to give them top dollar for it. And I guess that's probably Disney's goal. They're going to sell it at a loss and then use it as a tax write-off because of just how incompetent they've been so far in producing all their stuff right now. And again, that's just part of their whole model right now because they have a lot of money to save, which is really saying something for a company when that's the whole future is the streaming platforms, and they're trying to just cut costs on it. And this goes with what Bob Iger said at the earnings call, which they want to reevaluate like how they spend money and how much they spend on certain projects. I mean, he was talking about Lucasfilm and Marvel particularly, but it is still just about the company as a whole. I mean, that could be any division of Disney that they're looking to cut costs in what they're producing. But then he also says they want to produce more content, which is kind of mixed signals because you can't cut costs and then also produce more unless you're talking about producing more, but at a lower cost. But either way, I mean, that's kind of not a good sign for them. But now we're getting to the more interesting part of this because you got Snow White, which is supposed to be coming out. Well, it was in March, and I guess they're going to be delaying it until May, and for some reason, no one knows particularly. They did say something about the fact that they don't want competition or whatever, but a lot of it, people, or at least a lot of people are speculating it's because of actress Rachel Zegler, and they're trying to give it basically a more time for the heat to die down from her. But a lot of people are also saying that probably the best course of action for the company is just to dump it onto their streaming platform. And I mean, yeah, they're not going to make as much that way, but it's going to cost them more money to actually put it out for a theatrical release. And another solution is honestly to cancel it outright, which I really can't see them doing that because obviously that's going to take a lot or cost a lot to do that. But maybe they will, but I mean, I think that'd be pretty far-fetched. Same with, I think they're too stubborn to actually just dump it onto their Disney Plus platform, even though they have released other live action adaptations onto the Disney Plus platform. So this would just be another one of those, but I don't know. I think they're going to be a little arrogant about this and dig in their heels and refuse to do that. So they're probably going to push it out on theaters and it's going to fail, but I don't know. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below, because this is obviously not looking good for Disney when their business model for their streaming services cut costs, we need to save money in any way possible. I mean, in all honesty, the streaming wars is, or at least the streaming bubble is probably going to burst if it hasn't done that already. And what we're going to see is basically a couple companies. And I think Disney is hoping to weather that storm and be the last one standing. But in all honesty, what they're probably going to start doing is licensing out their material to other companies, because that's the only way they can make money. And then in the future, we're basically going to see it kind of go back to just a couple different streaming platforms and everyone else just licensing their material to them. But let me know what you think. And if you like this video, make sure you click that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.